Hey lads, this is Chessman, your audio captain speaking with a cold open with an update. If you were paying attention, we did not, in fact, release an episode last week, per se, and that's my bad. I'll take that one. Since we've started this thing, we've been slowly weeding out various audio issues, and usually we can just roll with the punches, but we just had to scrap an episode or two because of some internet shenanigans. And between that and, this whole COVID-19 business, it's been tough. But we are back in action. Since our schedules are pretty free right now, we're thinking of moving to a weekly schedule starting now. But before we get to that, one last thing. It is the end of Season 1. We did it, lads. 9 worlds. A nice, round number. We want to send them off somehow before we start the new season, and honestly, looking back, we kind of miss some of those weird fellas. So next week, we're doing a season recap. We'll be looking back, talking about our favorite worlds, a few of our favorite moments, and maybe some things we created that we regret bringing into being, and giving them all their final hour in the sun before we put them away. And at the end, we are going to pick just one world to revisit. So if you want to be a part of that discussion, you can send us your thoughts. Our email is 30minuteworlds@gmail.com. That's 30 spelled out. And our Twitter is @LoreLads, so you can follow and tweet at us there. We might read some of it on air. We will definitely read all of it. But do send it before next Thursday evening, because that's when we record. And, if you're listening to the show and you just want to say hi, we would absolutely love that. Well, that's all I've got, so I'll let you get on. Chessman out. Enjoy the show.
Imagine if Sisyphus was like lame and he was called Sisyphus. He was like weak.
Wow. What is it? Sisyphus, right?
Sisyphus.
Sympathus is what the kid's talking about.
Belvin, it's great to have you back on the show. We're back in the driver's seat now, boy.
When great minds get together, you just get gold.
Hey,
okay, I'm good now.
All the boys together again.
I can't push this boulder. It's too heavy.
God.
I just did this yesterday.
Well, this pretty lady told me to keep pushing the boulder, and I said, okay.
It goes down.
Maybe I'll get to data one day if I keep pushing this boulder.
Sympathus?
Sympathus.
Or is it?
I check into the Sisyphus pod once a day like every other American.
We can't literally rip that off. You have to stop.
You say that, but...
We cannot literally just recite the text of
It's
that.
copyrighted. It's not trademarked. Or I don't know how that works.
Read it into the microphone over and over again for 45 minutes.
Oh, man.
Are they going to sue us?
We're in Rift City now, baby. And it's Rift City when...
Sisyphus. Sorry, go on.
Well, damn. That might be... we could get 30 minutes on just that alone, guys.
No, we've definitely hit the limit on Greek puns.
Dude, you've hit that fuck, you're right. Welcome to 30-Minute Worlds, the podcast where we create a magical fantasy world, or soft sci-fi, depending on how we feel, based off of
frogs.
Or frog fantasy.
We do frogs sometimes.
Took the frog pill,
Those are the 3 genres.
The three classical stories. Man versus Self, Man versus God, Frog Quest, and Sentient Hair.
That was more than 3, Walt.
The 4 stories.
Pretty sure that's Man versus God.
Man versus...
Pretty sure the hair is
Man versus
God.
Self and Man versus God are the same story. And we can go into the technicalities of that later.
Oh boy.
We can go into the Nietzschean ramifications of that.
I'll note that down. We'll get into that in a minute.
My dad did listen to the hair one, and he referred to the hair as a god. And I was very confused because I don't remember ever talking about it like that. Is this how cargo cults start?
No, the hair, I did imagine something divine and terrible, like a Japanese kami descending upon the world. But
I mean,
maybe
a collective consciousness, once it gets to any kind of size like that, is
maybe your
kind
dad
of a
is
god.
cultured and appreciates the Japanese worldview of
He
various
listens
kami.
to Deep Cut. Was it Space Cuts 9? Deep Cuts 9?
It was True Cuts.
Deep Cuts 9 would have been
We're
good.
gonna do a pizza episode now. Fuck.
Fucking your prompt cannot be pizza. If you just go on it right now.
If your prompt can be car radio, my prompts can be deep dish.
There's not a more destructive prompt in this universe than car
Whistling
radio.
turned out to be the bomb. I'll remind
Actually,
anyone.
whistling did suck.
It's called Deep Dish 9. Deep,
We had
Deep
two
Dish
car
9, and
episodes in a row.
That's the episode,
Twist
guys.
the knife. Chessman thrown off air.
With a pretzel crust.
I'm going to roll a 4-sided die now to determine which of us is going to be the lore lad who gets, as I'll remind the listeners, they don't generate a prompt, but they get creative control of the setting. They resolve disputes, and they take the setting in the direction largely that they want to go with us suggesting things.
They get creative control of the setting until Walt decides to talk over them.
I went T-minus 3 minutes, buddy, till that till that goes down. I've rolled a 4, which means Belvin, it is your turn to be the lore lad this week.
Well. Looks like
quake.
I'm the lore lad. Okay, y'all
I
got
regret being
poppers for
mean
me?
to you in middle school.
Y'all got some fresh manure we can grow beautiful flowers out of?
Dude, I got some
Yeah.
words, but how are y'all feeling?
We got some steamers. We got some good stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't find the time to prep one word this week.
I'd like to see an attorney, actually, please.
Please, fifth.
My prompt word
yeah,
is
plead the fifth.
green.
Green. I'll take it.
My prompt word is prison.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Do we have a third member here?
No, we can't do blue. Blue would be too obvious, right?
In a world,
Please don't
where
choose
blue,
two
green
colors.
is
In a world
illegal.
where Chessman shuts the fuck
Yes,
up
this
and
is
picks
Officer Blue, green.
Blue, you're my best man. But these are green streets.
And
Chessman,
one
what's your
man, aquamarine, bring them all together.
Chessman, what's your unironic prompt?
My unironic prompt. Oh man, I guess it's dogs.
Okay.
Okay. Green prison dogs is what we have to cook with.
Wouldn't wanna eat at that fucking vendor stall.
Oh wait, I
I'll
want to
tell you
change
right
my prompts to
That's
car
how we-
radio.
Green prison dogs is, I think, how we got coronavirus.
You ever had a prison dog?
No, we are not allowed to riff on the coronavirus.
They cook in the toilet.
I revoke.
This
Okay.
is just Reservoir Dogs. Wait, crap.
Green prison dogs.
This is interesting because when I heard green in prison, my first thoughts were like nature world, prison world, right?
Yeah.
And now we
But
have dogs involved.
Well, it could still be a natural prison world.
What if instead of
with dogs?
what if instead of us just going the lazy route and making everyone dogs are involved in the functioning of the prison somehow
They're all
integrally?
Cerberuses.
That
Cerberuses.
could be cool. That could be cool.
Oh. Huh. Like
Huh?
hell, but the fire is green. That, yeah.
It's hell for
That's
people
fun.
that were mean to the environment.
Oh, I like where
Oh,
I like where your head's at.
Yeah. Belvin with
Which
his-
one?
That's interesting. Maybe everyone who dies from climate change goes to nature hell.
Wait, even the good people who fought against.
Yes.
Why?
The
Nature
prison
hates us
wardens
all.
What
they're
if
all
we-
Greenpeace
What if you
activists.
die from a?
Oh.
What if you died from something caused by climate change, like social instability, like violence?
There's different wings of the prison, depending on how.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, different circles of green hell, right?
Yeah. If you ever seen the Good Place, yeah, everyone goes to this hell. You're right.
Just
Everyone does go to this hell.
But
Yeah,
maybe
there are different ones.
maybe there could be like different sections for different people. Like if you tried to be like a half-ass environmentalist, you would have like your own section of hell that isn't as bad as if you were like an oil baron.
I think we should make that section kind of nice, you know, for the random people who are. I'm not speaking with any worry on the subject.
So what circle of green hell do you go to if you blow up like an oil refinery?
You go to green heaven, dude.
Oh,
If it's a
But
protest,
you did blow it up, right? And you blew up an oil refinery, and you did release oil into the ocean. So, you know, I think that's the worst. I think that's the worst you can do.
I don't know if you did it to raise awareness of the environmental catastrophe that we're all living through.
But what if that raising that awareness just made oil barons arm their oil tankers?
Well, then I don't know, man. I'm not a fucking.
I don't know.
I
That
didn't
was my
major
go-to
in blowing up oil derricks.
eco-terrorist act.
yeah, just
Yeah,
classic
I didn't
eco-terrorism.
major in Just Cause 2 in college.
I did, essentially.
Yeah, actually, if I remember comments correctly, you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
For us to get the sponsorship money, you have to say Just Cause 2 a couple more times, actually.
Yeah, we hit
Yeah,
our
just
quota
so
for
you
this
know.
We
episode.
hit the 5. I like the idea that green hell is indiscriminate in its hatred of the human race.
Yes, maybe the
So that
Earth
everyone
generated
goes
it.
there. There are different circles of the hell that Baron worse, but like you're not getting into green heaven because you were part of this
Yeah, you're the
hated-
plague.
this hated species that destroyed the nature spirit. I
the
think.
idea,
Go on.
I was going to say, only our distant ancestors get to go to green heaven. Like,
Yes.
pre-fire.
Yes. Like
If you were basically an
extremes.
animal.
And animals, I would say.
Well,
Probably.
just like closer to being an animal, yeah. Well, closer to not pretending like you're not.
If you had taken the frog pill, you could presumably go.
This is not a crossover episode.
It could be. No,
The frog world is just a section of this hell.
what if, so tell me more about these fucking dogs. What do they do? They're 1/3 of our setting.
What do any prison guards do? They patrol, they move prisoners, they, I guess, do real prisons have disciplinary action, or is that just a movie prison?
Yeah, they throw you in the hole.
Isolation is like the main
Okay.
tactic.
No, because what I was thinking of was like they beat the shit out of somebody.
Well,
Well, in green hell they do, because nobody ever gets beat up in real prison.
yeah, or real hell. You know, that's why our setting's edgier than both.
What if the dogs are the spirits of actual dogs? But
Okay.
because they had no part in the demise of the planet, they're not punished.
They had no agency, you mean? Yeah, but why would other animals not be picked?
Because
Yeah.
dogs are man's best friend.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
it's the turning of the knife, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I kinda
get it.
like that.
That's- Oh, that's so what, nature. Why are you so mean to
Nature's a
us?
fucking conniving. Well, she's had a long time to work on it.
Yeah, I think the central question of our setting right now is what consciousness, or like,
Oh,
what is nature
yeah.
in this case?
Oh, yeah, we're hitting consciousness territory.
What sort of God are we talking about?
What sort of super consciousness that we
I like the
imagine?
idea that at one point it was very benevolent and kind and really did just like all life on the planet, and we have just ruined that.
Yeah.
Like, it does not give a fuck about anything that, or rather about us, basically. Because at one point we were like its children too, but we fucked it up.
So, yeah, because we're part of the life force. So that's why it's able to control our souls after we die. So instead of recycling our souls, like we didn't recycle anything, it would send our souls to a special, let's call it a vacuole, like a plant cell would have. A vacuole that is this generated prison, essentially. But because it's nature and it can't talk, this prison's built for us to make us bad. It's a natural response to a creature that a consciousness that can evolve into anything. But it doesn't have a way to communicate to us that this is what's waiting for us.
Right, you can only sequester away the souls after they pass.
Right, which ironically doesn't do anything.
Except for punishment, which is sort of like the human concept too, right? That's what's interesting to me about this setting. is that the whole idea of like revenge, like a human, like subjective, individualized concept.
Oh, I like that.
So
That's good.
that's why I'm so fascinated with like who this nature is. Like, is it,
who gets to exact revenge on whom?
Well, it's funny because nature, like what we're doing to the planet right now, it's making it harder for us to live on the planet, and it is making it harder for most animals to live on the planet. It's not making it harder for the planet to exist. Like, we can fuck it up totally beyond repair, so we'll never be able to, like, it'll take, thousands of years, millions of years to recover, but the planet will eventually recover, and, like, in geologic time, we'll just be fine.
I mean, I don't know about... geologic time, sure. It'll be fine.
But there is a watershed moment, though, right? Like, eventually we fuck shit up to the point that it won't naturally just get better if we just go away forever.
So this setting presumes that nature can control our spirits after we die.
yes.
That it can sense out what would be painful to us, literally, and that it kind of created this environment for us to go to torture us. Maybe consciously, maybe nature can't do anything consciously. Who knows?
You know what? The more I think about it, the more I feel like the agent that creates the prison shouldn't just be like nature itself, but be someone who has tapped into nature, like a druid of some sort.
Or it could be, like, animals. It could be very intelligent animals that just have consciousnesses that we don't understand.
Yeah, it could be Gorilla Grodd.
It could very well be
Or
the greatest villain of our time. Gorilla
If not
Grodd.
that, well, what if instead of just going to green heaven, certain animals, like, after death, their consciousnesses meld into this sort of
It's
greater
funny
awareness?
'cause
And what if it's something like it's creatures that we've made extinct?
in Green
Yes.
Heaven, here's the thing. The animals are there too. It's just outside the prison. Like, it's just, they get to go outside.
In infinite nature. Yeah. Like a Earth dream.
Right. Green Heaven is a world with no humans in it.
Well, so if nature, or this aspect of nature, can control human souls, why does it need dogs to guard us? Is it just a psychological torture thing? Or
This is
it
what
like...
Belvin was getting at, was that there needed to be some knowledge of humanity and consciousness behind the backstab dog decision, I think.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking through the like druid who is tapped into primal force type thing. Because a hell with like specific psychological torture devices, like having our best friends be our guards, would be wrought by maybe like an angry environmentalist type, more so than like nature itself.
Mm-hmm.
Nature is
because nature's
rather
kind of
chill,
passive.
neutral. Yeah.
Sort
So
of like a poison ivy type who
yes,
sort of became one with nature.
Mhm.
Right, who tapped into the life force, like Sephiroth.
Right. Yeah, sure.
I'm replaying that. It's pretty good, actually, but
We're legally not allowed to go more than one
I don't know
episode
what you're
without
talking about.
a Final Fantasy reference.
Belvin, the only normal one on this
It
podcast.
actually does remind me of a character from Just Cause 2. Were there characters in that game?
Technically, no.
And remember, kids, to download the demo for the Final Fantasy VII remake from Square Enix.
Never heard of that
No,
game.
it's not out. It is, no, the demo's out. Okay.
demo's
Back on track, boys. Perhaps the druids, like if it were a druid, like if it were like some like nature shaman who ascended, like who would it be? Would it be a Celtic druid from hundreds of years ago? Would it be?
I kind of like the power and unpredictability that Kami have. I know we were touching on that earlier.
Oh yes,
But-
yes.
This makes me think nature spirits being channeled to create something. And
Well,
yeah?
could it be a melded being, like a conscience of anyone that's ever died protecting nature in some sort of capacity?
Maybe
What if-
the thing about like people who are environmentalists is that they're usually like pretty good people.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
even they wouldn't be as vengeful as.
Well,
Is
maybe
this-
an offshoot sect of druids fused their consciousness with the life force and gave up their physical bodies to exert untold power over it.
You
Vindictive
know the,
asshole druids.
Yeah. Speaking of vindictive asshole druids and environmentalism, you know the island of Avalon? You're right. Remember? I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
And assuming that the viewers slash listeners all know the story of England and Arthur.
Yes.
And the quest for the
continue. Yes.
What are they called? It's
Chaos Emeralds.
Yes, the Chaos Emeralds of England. Avalon does mean Island of Apples, and that is essentially where they all went. That was like it's sort of like sailing east sort of thing.
Yeah, the Isles of the Blessed.
Yeah, they go to Avalon, and that's where although I think they left.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not great. But what if they did stay, and they just died on Avalon? Could be like Merlin. Merlin was a druid, actually.
Was he? We don't. It's actually neat. Like historically, we have no idea what the druids were about.
Right.
We know nothing about them.
Yeah, we only have what the Romans wrote down about them, and what the Romans wrote down about them generally wasn't very positive.
Yeah,
it's like, these guys.
We know that they
blood sacrifice.
We don't even know that the druids built Stonehenge. We don't know if druidism existed at the time that Stonehenge was built, or any of the principles of druidism, or who were druids and who weren't in history. We have no knowledge of it.
And the Merlin story with druidism does get really weird because there's like two different Merlins, depending on who's telling the story.
Lorland, help us.
Yeah, one of them was a druid in Rome.
I know. I'm thinking.
Times.
I think the druid Merlin sails from the Isle of Avalon to Japan, harnesses the power of the nature kami, the nature spirits.
Oh shit!
Because he has seen a vision of impending environmental doom. So he begins channeling this nature hell in an attempt to destroy the people who will destroy the earth. But it doesn't actually do it. It just steals the souls of the people who did anyway.
Yeah, it's just punishment time.
Well, what if Merlin had plans for a part 2? So kind of a shot at resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
So what if Merlin had planned to enact this hell that's like, oh, you spend X years in hell, but then you kind of get out and you get one chance to change your ways. And so that way everyone would get to experience it eventually and leave. And they'd know about the spell and they'd know about what was happening.
But
he died before he fucking got to the second part.
Well, maybe he can still... I like the idea of the nature hell, like potentially teaching people and not just being like a nihilistic, we killed the earth and now
right it's there to teach you a lesson.
I think it makes more sense that people think he died like before he got to the second part, but the second part was actually, it's just that the time scale that he's working on with that is much bigger than anybody would expect or believe.
It's much grander.
Right. I think we can leave it ambiguous for now. Like,
well, I like that, Chessman, because at the time that he did this, he couldn't have anticipated how good we would get at destroying the planet.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah,
like, because we're really good at it now compared to whatever contemporary Arthurian times would be. Second, third century.
The prison, all the magical energy, because of how many more people there are in the world and how much better we've gotten at destroying the environment. A lot of the magical energy that creates the place is focused exclusively on expanding the prison very rapidly.
You saying there's overcrowding in Green Hell?
Yes, and because all the magic's tied up there, maybe Phase 2 can't come into play. It's its own ecological crisis.
Well, see, if Phase 2 doesn't happen, then there's no conflict at all. It's just people in boxes.
Yeah, and the setting remains like completely static.
I like there being a potential for Phase 2. Like maybe it's the mystery of Merlin. I want to take a little time and like flesh out the setting itself.
Let's do that. Now that we know why it exists.
Okay.
Like for example, what if the species that we've killed each becomes a torture device? Like each species.
Yeah, I like that.
Like every bird that died off pecks out your eyeballs.
That would get repetitive after that 800th type of bird.
Yeah, you get bored of the eyeball bit.
It's like its beak shape is slightly different.
Honestly, because birds are very different sizes with very different beaks and very different, like, levels of intelligence. So you would actually, yeah.
I got
The large ones pick you up and then drop you.
3 words
Yes.
for y'all: extinct insect pit
Oh,
Ooh.
God.
that they just
Yeah.
push your ass into.
Oh,
We really
God.
got a lot of options with pits there. Extinct snake pit. Ugh.
Yeah. Extinct dinosaur pit. No, but we didn't do
Yeah,
that.
that was.
Yeah, that
was
wasn't
a
on
happy
us.
accident.
Merlin didn't even know that dinosaurs
Yeah.
existed.
They are in
It-
green
wait.
heaven, though.
Yeah,
Very
I'd say
quick.
that.
We don't want to get sidetracked on this, but are there dinosaurs in green hell?
No, they're in green, heaven.
They're in
Yeah,
green
I
heaven?
don't think that makes
Okay.
sense because humans didn't do anything to them.
There's nothing karmic about a relationship with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's
Also-
true. Well, no, there is, because we're piping their dead bodies out from the ground and using them in our cars.
We are dishonoring their legacy. Yes.
The commie was very insistent that dishonor be punished by tenure in green hell.
The commie really likes
It
dinosaurs.
was the only way that he signed on.
Kerosene is the fuel of sin.
Would it be cool if the commie warm patrolled this prison like a warden
Yes.
with
It
a
would
fucking?
be cool. That'd be fucking tight, dude.
He's like a walking Japanese tree stump man
Yes.
or giant radish.
Yes, he's a radish man.
Giant radish warden. That'd be
And
cool.
people see it and they're like, oh, that's so endearing. And then he just like hits them.
He beats the shit out.
So we've talked a lot about animals and how that works into the setting, but we haven't really touched necessarily on plants. And I really feel like that kind of forms the aesthetic of all this.
Yeah.
Right? Like it wouldn't be made out of stone or concrete
No,
or
it's
anything. It would
green,
be
yeah.
this massive, like labyrinthian, like wooden structure, I guess, but it's
Yeah.
growing out of the ground.
Yeah, I think there should be a section of it that is decaying. Like a really like peaty, mossy, organic, just like death section.
Well, yeah, because that section, that's where all the, you have to have some place for all the fungus to live.
Well, they wouldn't be in the
I mean,
prison.
there's a lot of things that feed on death.
that setting is also a subplot. It turns
That
out
elicited an unpleasant reaction in me.
at least 2 of our past podcasts are just subsidiaries of Green Hell. But,
Oh my god.
This is the plan all along.
Oh my god, is Frog Quest in Green Hell?
Yeah,
Why-
Frog
no.
Quest is
Oh
just
my God.
a phase of Green
No,
Hell.
it's not canon. Cut it.
I'm the Lorelei.
It's unchecked
I will
power
it.
we've given you.
No, it's the a giant ice ball theory. Green Hell is actually just it's round, but it's just this. It
Do you mean a snow globe?
gigantic ice ball.
Leaning into commie and
Are you
shit.
saying ice
What
ball
if
and
it
you mean
were
snow
more?
globe? Sorry.
No.
What if it were organic still, but it were more of a pagoda-like structure,
Oh, like a giant pagoda with each
Extending-
section of it?
endlessly?
different
Yeah, I'm
parts?
talking more
Yeah.
like paper walls and shit, because they're never going to see the outside of it,
Well,
Why?
why?
because they
Kinda like-
fucking suck.
Yeah.
It's patrolled by dogs that can fly and shit, like magical spirit creatures or whatever.
Well, and I dig the idea aesthetically of like these gigantic torii, like the Shinto gates that are grown just naturally out of the ground that are just fucking enormous.
Oh, that'd be badass. I think the dogs should also be supernatural in some way to distinguish them from the other animals in the setting.
Yeah, they've been empowered.
Mhm.
Yeah, also dogs are like spiritual creatures in Japanese mythology. Like they can
What if,
possess
like-
people and shit.
Misplaced loyalty is why they are the wardens of this prison. Like they didn't intend to do it, but they were like loyal to us.
Oh, they're like, if you're gonna fuck with the humans, like we at least want to be with them while you do it. So
There's
they're
like
like
a karmic debt to
Tough
pay.
love.
I kind of like that because it also implies the dogs still love humanity in some way and feel an obligation to help them, even these dog spirits.
It makes it just that little bit more horrifying.
Well, maybe it would mean that the dogs are less violent toward prisoners than, say, some of the other conjured creatures or the kami itself.
Yeah, maybe the dogs just keep people in line.
Right. Sometimes for their own safety.
Yeah, I like that.
What are some other sections? Like, I think there should be a forest fire section of the hell.
Mhm.
Is I guess kind of like standard hell stuff, just with plants. But
More wood, yeah.
you're on
Earthquake
fire.
from like fracking, right? Like
Yeah, and
it's
like
just-
choking on like shitty water,
A smoke-filled room.
dying of poison, smoke section.
Yeah, you can't breathe.
I'm trying to think of a way to incorporate. Because like the warming of the planet itself is like, I mean, you can just make the room hot, but like fire kind of covers
There's
that.
a room with no fucking air, and it's just water, and they drown endlessly. They can't die.
Oh yeah, because we're melting the ice packs.
Yeah, you could have a deep sea sort of deal. I'm imagining that the way that you would, if you could get between these sections, you would do it by walking through a torii. Like they're sort of connected, and there's like this. In order to confuse people who are trying to escape, it's not like everybody's chained, because that wouldn't make you feel like that wouldn't really make you feel like you're trapped. That would make you feel like you're like arrested. If you try to leave, there's a forest in the way, and you just get lost and end up in another part of hell.
I like that. It plays up this like, you might be planning to escape for like months and months, and you make your shot and you go through the torii and you're just in a worse part of the prison.
Right, and also it makes sense because it's nature. It wouldn't generate structures like walls like we would conceive of them, I think.
Well, if it's all Merlin plus nature, if it's a...
Yeah, Merlin added some structure, I'd say, but the kami was like, listen, I gotta go freeform here.
You can't pitch pagoda as the aesthetic and say, no, we don't use human structures here.
The kami likes he like pagodas. He likes them.
There are certain sections I think that are outside, maybe, but walled off magically. There's like a whole central garden area where naked humans run around terrifiedly hiding while they're torn apart by giant birds of prey.
Yes.
It's like some horrible imitation of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, exactly, where everything hates you.
If you can pick the 2 apples off of the tree, maybe you'll get out. But you're not going to get to pick the apples off the tree. That's not going to fucking happen.
What if we want to lean to the redemptive aspect? Like, what if each gate takes you to a different section? And so, like, basically you have to live through, like, every bad thing that humanity has done to the world. Like, you just have to experience every single bit of it. And then once you get to the end, like over millennia of just like, 100 years choking, 100 years burning, just over and over and over, you get to the end. What then? Reboot? New Earth, where hopefully
I think that
the spirit knows better.
I think that if Merlin had established this, right, then wouldn't there be some people who had already gotten to the end? By our time, it's been 2,000 or so years.
No, I think a lot more.
We were riffing on Sisyphus at the start of this episode.
Yeah, you start over. No, I like to think that it really ramps up how many people it intakes as we do more and more damage to the world. Like it grows more powerful and starts swallowing up more souls.
Because more people are complicit. Yeah. More people are judged complicit because you're consuming products now and shit like that. Whereas before it was like, okay, if you chop down a tree, yada yada.
Well, and like there was like more of a sense of stewardship too, like as forestry is about, right? Like if you chop down a tree, plant another one.
Here's something. It's kind of scaring me thinking about. Because Dan was talking earlier about how there could be a watershed. There could be a watershed moment where like the Earth couldn't recover, right?
Well, there could be a shed filled with water in the prison where people drown.
Yeah, there could be. That could happen.
Whoa.
For sure. But if let's say there's a future where all the humans on the planet just die from climate change, right? Let's say they're all in green hell.
No, so 2050.
Yeah, it's a little conservative, but let's say that there's 2 possibilities that could happen there. Either over time, I don't know how long it'll take, the Earth recovers, or it doesn't. If it's the second one, let's say we're talking about the players going through this and like I guess fighting their way through hell. Get to the end of this and they meet the kami and the kami's like, well, I was going to honor the agreement and I really would like to, because you guys have really redeemed yourselves, and then he shows you the Earth as it is right now, which is completely blasted. It looks like Mars.
This is really the most optimistic setting that we've come up with so far.
I like the downer ending.
Yeah, the commie's like, nothing I can do. But
So what the hell does he do?
I think the downer ending doesn't make a lot of sense though, because he draws his magic from nature, right? If there were no earth or nature, he wouldn't be able to keep the prison, all the elements of it, I think, cogent or moving.
Well, maybe the dream of nature is all that's left, just this reflection.
Maybe he doesn't want to let people out because if humans all die from climate change, what you're actually going to be looking at is like a green resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we talk about the Earth recovering, not recovering. I think it will recover.
Yeah, there will be life after us, a lot of it.
Yeah, it's just if you imagine the Earth cares about all of its species, everything that has evolved over hundreds of millions of years, like it would still really care about that being wiped out. It would still feel the loss, even if long term it'll grow more.
What if this commie's a dick and he promises Merlin, he's like, yeah, you know, if some humans prove themselves worthy in the test or whatever, I'll let them out and they can repopulate the Earth after humans have died. But he doesn't actually want to do that because he gets much more power now the more nature there is.
Huh. So you fight the commie at the end.
Oh, yeah, you do. You learn your lesson by destroying an aspect of the Earth.
This is just
punching him very hard.
You undo the entire narrative.
No, you just beat him into submission.
Yeah, it's James Cameron's Avatar, but the good guys win.
Yeah.
The dogs turn on him.
The commie's just like the warden from Holes who drives around in his car and he's revealed to be the bully all along and he's revealed to be powerless and you fucking... Anyway, I'm on a Holes kick.
Is that Holes or is that Harry Potter? I don't... What? Oh, okay. No, I get it. When you say Holes, all I think of is sploosh. That's all I think of. I think of people eating peaches and like gym socks or whatever that was. Peaches and onions?
It was peaches and onions that had been stored in jars for like 150 years.
God, that's gross.
Sploosh.
Well, boys, we made green hell.
We made eco hell.
The only thing you get to eat in green hell is sploosh. That's it. 3 meals a day.
Oh, yeah, the food. That's another aspect of hell.
I don't think they should get to eat. They're just hungry all the time.
No, but you get super hungry, but then you like eat food that's been poisoned. You eat like blackened soot food.
Just stuff that's like totally void of nutritional content.
God damn, this setting is the...
It's hell.
I think the hair setting, this has displaced it as the most grim dark. Because it is hell.
Yeah, you have to lean in that part.
Yeah. And kids, this is why you should recycle, so you don't go to green hell and get tortured for all eternity.
No kids listen to this show.
Climate change activism. It's not too late, guys. You can get involved and save the planet, but we have about 8 years to get our stuff together. Join a sunrise movement or citizens climate lobby near you.
Dude, I'm joining the sundown movement. I'm voting for Joe Biden.
Someone's going to listen to this in 2029 and be like, wait a second.
Earth burn money. Well, guys, that's our show. If you like the episode, you can subscribe to us on the podcasting service of your choice to get new episodes every other Saturday. And if you're feeling up to it, go ahead and write us a 5-star review on iTunes. That's right. Lie about how good we are. And share us with friends who enjoy world building. It's really going to help us out. Our art is courtesy of the talented and wonderful Shell Tor. You can find her on Twitter at Jovial Paradox. And you can tweet at us too at LoreLads. Or send us, some good old hate mail at 30minuteworlds@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy world building.